Hello movie lovers, it's Bob. I'm here to talk about the movies I watched this week and last week. Last week there was no video of the movies I watched. I went away for the weekend. Last weekend I went and helped my brother Don, he lives in Oshawa, but my nephew, excuse me, Tom bought a house in Oshawa. So my brother and I went out there I went to see Donnie, like I said, and we ended up at Tom's place, and we ended up painting two of his bedrooms. See, that's what happens when you don't talk for a while. Yeah, so that's where I was last weekend, and of course, you know, today is Thursday, which is tomorrow's Friday. Now tomorrow, Friday for the long weekend, Labor Day on Monday. That's when people get the day off. Here in Canada, and I guess in the States too, I think it applies. But yeah, it started in the 1880s sometime, or there's a holiday for workers, you know, labor. So that's what Labor Day is. So I'm going to leave tomorrow morning here from my place. Donnie's coming from Oshawa, picking my brother and Sammy, and me up, and we're heading to Oshawa tomorrow. So that's why there's not going to be a video tomorrow on movies I watched this week. You get it? Alright, now that's tomorrow. Just going to Donnie's, having a barbecue, you know, maybe watch a hockey game, you know, have some smoke, have some drink, you know, food, a regular weekend, play darts, you know, so we have a good time, three of us, we get together. I did have another brother. Never really told anybody this, but I had another brother, Ricky, and he passed away in March, this past March. He had cancer, so it's the first time I told anybody that, and basically here on YouTube. But yeah, my brother Ricky passed away back in March. He had it for a year, you know, gets cancer, end up in the hospital. Sad, very sad, very, very sad. Anyway, let's talk about the movies. I wrote everything down. Now, I misplaced a couple of movies in the last couple of weeks. Instead of looking all over for them, I just said forget about it. So the first movie, doesn't matter about the first, but movies that I watched basically last week and this week are Dark Blue, right? Dark Blue, with Kurt Russell was in it, right? He stars as a third-generation policeman, you know, a detective. He kind of lets things slide a little bit. Things that maybe he shouldn't have, right? And there's corruption in the police department. I can't really tell you too much about who's doing the corruption because you have to watch the movie. But yeah, he does a few things that you know, that's not too legal. But anyway, I thought it was you know, a good movie. It's a good movie to watch. Of course, I've seen it before. I don't know how many times, but I give it a 7. It's from 2003, Dark Blue. So if you find it, have it, whatever, come across it, it's worth a watch. Okay, and I watched another one. I watched I have a DVD of it here somewhere too. I can't seem to find it. Instead of looking for it, like I said, Everything That Rises, 1998, Dennis Quaid. Yeah, he's a farmer. He's on a big farm, you know, and he's having problems, money problems. He has to pay his bills and stuff like that. And he has a son, and they get to go to the rodeo and stuff, you know, lasso cows and stuff like that. Anyway, I don't know if this happens. I guess it happens all the time. But his son's riding up on top of the hay truck, you know, you pile the hay. He's up on top of the truck they're setting up there. And anyway, they get in an accident, truck tips over, and his son gets hurt, and he ends up in the hospital, and ends up being a quadriplegic. He can't walk, right? He's you know, from the waist down. So it's based on his son and stuff like that. Well, what happens after that? Very good story. I give it a 7. It's worth a 7 out of 10. Also, and I also watched Point Blank, right? Point Blank with Lee Marvin. It's another one that's around here. I put away or down or something. Point Blank. I called it Point Break, I think last week or something, when I put it on, what was it, the Grumpy Old Gentleman channel, like on Facebook or something. Anyway, it got mixed up. But it's called Point Blank. Everybody knows it's Point Blank. It's Lee Marvin, right? And Angie Dickinson. Yeah. So he's a bad guy, right? So they're robbing this place. And his buddy, his so-called friend, you gotta watch your friends, sometimes. But anyway, he gets shot and he's left for dead, right? So his mobster buddy takes off and goes off with his wife, right? So the wife and the buddy's off spending the money, or he had to pay back the mobsters, the gang, right? Money. So he stole the money and pay it back. Lee Marvin gets better and he's off finding out who has his money. Now all he wants is to share his money that they owe him. Somebody owes him some money. And he's trying to find out who that somebody is. So he starts asking questions. And he starts going up to get his money. Pretty good movie. Didn't do so well when it first came out, but it's, I guess it's some form of a classic movie now. You know, that happens sometimes. Movies don't do so well, and 30 years later they're a classic, or so-called classic. I gave that an 8. I really liked that one. You know, I've seen it before lots of times, but Point Blank. And also now I watched Birds of Prey. I watched on Rogers Crave TV here in Toronto, in Canada. You know, Margot Robbie and Rosie Perez. Rosie Perez is getting a little old, eh? But she's still cute. Yeah. So Harley Quinn, right? Everybody knows that she breaks up with the Joker. She's no longer the Joker's girlfriend, right? So now, you know, people are taking liberties with her, right? So she has to take care of that. And she has, you know, she got a tyrant in her back, saying that the Joker's not taking care of her anymore, right? So one of the people, or bad guys she meets up with, is the Black Masked. So yeah, so it's a fun movie. It ain't the greatest thing, you know, ever, but it's worth a watch. It's got a few laughs in it. It's got a little action in it, right? You know, kicking and jumping and shooting and the regular type of shit, right? So yeah, I give it a 7. Yeah, it's worth a watch. And I watched another one on Crave, the movie channel. It was called Captive State. It stars John Goodman, right? And extraterrestrials, you know, they take over Earth. They've been there for like 10 years, and they're running the show, right? So it's a choice of either fighting back, right, or just staying docile and doing everything they tell you, because they're running the Earth now. Do they fight back? You know, like the underground, stuff like that, right? So it's another movie was all right to watch it. You got to kind of like pay a little attention to it to see what's going on, right? John Goodman, he's the main guy, the main actor. It has its moments, but it's a little, you know, one of those. But it's all right to watch. You can watch it for the one time, but it's another one of those movies you don't really have to watch again. One time watch, fine. I give it a 7. Yeah, a 7 out of 10. And that's from 2019, I believe. Oh yeah, and I watched on Netflix, this one on Netflix. I watched 1 and 2. I never got around to watching 3, but I came across ipman 4, Donnie Yen, right? On Netflix, just, you know, turning Netflix on, and this popped up, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll give that a watch. Ian talks about Ip Man all the time, so that's where I got Ip Man from Ian over in Wales, right? So I enjoyed this one. I want to watch number 3, or if I can find it. Now this one, of course, is on Netflix, right? So it's a stunt. The storyline's similar to, I don't know, 2, I think, you know, where the big tough guy beats up all the Chinese, you know, fighters and stuff. And Ipman has to show up and stuff and, you know, make everything all right. But it's a very good movie. I can't tell you too much about it. It spoils it, right? You know what I mean? I really say too much. But gets an 8. I like that one. I really like Ip Man's series. These are all based on true stories, as far as I understand. I give it an 8. Gets a big 8. Yeah. Then I also watched on DVD. See, I have this one in my possession. I can find it. The Virgin Suicides, right? Virgin Suicides. The year 2000, came out in 2000. Stars Kathleen Turner and James Woods, right? Lovely family of girls. The mother's a little, what do you want to call her? A little overbearing, right? Looking after her girls, right? She runs a tight ship, right? And James Woods, James Woods is a good father, but he's a little on the ditzy side, right? So, yeah, so, you know, once the girls get out and go to a dance and get a little freedom, and one of them doesn't come home in time, she stays out all night, falls asleep on the football field, and her mother, you know, pulls things in. You're all grounded, and nobody can go anywhere, and I don't know, it's a little strange movie. But it's, yeah, well, I'm going to spoil this one for everybody because most of you have seen it, and if you haven't seen it, this is a spoiler alert, so you can bypass this in, you know, 15, 20 seconds, just run the tape, you know, over to the little bit next scene or something. Yeah, there's 4 sisters, and they're all lovely girls. They're all teenagers, you know, 13, 14, 15, 17, whatever. But anyway, they all do suicide, every one of them. Yeah, they all go. Strange movie. I give it a 6. Could have been better. You know, could have been better. I thought it could have been better. I've seen it before, of course, but I give it a 6 just because. I just think it's still, like I said, it could have been, I don't know what I'm expecting as, you know, every time I watch it, but it could have been done better. I thought, I don't know why I'm thinking that, but it gets a 6. Oh yeah, and also watched this one. I've seen bits and pieces of this, but I never saw the whole thing. That's why I bought it. Galaxy Quest, right? 1999. Tim Allen, right? Alan Rickman, Sonia Weaver. These guys are all over the circuit, right? You know, showing up and signing autographs, and you know, it all sounds familiar. Everybody knows what, you know, what this movie's about and who's it a take on, right? Right, Star Trek, right? So yeah, so these people from another planet come and asked Tim Allen and his buddies, the crew, right, to come to their planet and help save them. But it's a laugh. It's a very good, well, very well done. I liked it. I really liked it. I give it a 7. You can watch it. This one you can watch again and again and again. So yeah, 7 for Galaxy Quest. Sonia Weaver, she was in Aliens, and she was in a few other movies, Ghostbusters. I can go on. So that one gets a 7, yeah. It's a good movie. And then I also watched out of this set, I watched Two Brothers, about 2 baby tigers, you know, 2 little tigers, and I watched The Thunderbirds, right? So I watched that. Two Brothers, it stars Guy Pearce and Freddie Highmore, a young kid, a young guy, a little kid. Two tiger cubs have different upbringings, you know, when they're young. One gets to go to a nice house and a nice home, and the other one gets to go on a circus. And you know what they do in that time period when they're growing up, they grow up, and basically they end up being back together again. But you have to see the movie and watch it and see what I'm talking about. But it's a well done movie. I liked it. I gave it a 6. It's worth a watch. It's another movie where you can watch it once, but you don't have to watch it again. Just one of those movies. It's a good little watch. But I give it a 6. So I don't know if I'm going to watch that again. Who knows? I might. Who knows? I got so many friggin' movies. And also watch, like I said, The Thunderbirds. Bill Paxton, Ben Kingsley. Yeah. The Tracy family has to stop the Hood from robbing the world's richest banks. They got ships, they fly around in these ships and stuff like that, right? Ben Kingsley can turn around and do something with his mind, and I don't think I'll watch this one again, but who knows? I gave it a 5. It was kind of boring, and a little bit, maybe because it was more, even this one, Thunderbirds, was more kid-friendly than Two Brothers. You know what I mean? So it's like Thunderbirds. I gave it a 5. I liked it, but I didn't like it. One of those movies. Anyway, move on, Bob. All right. I also watched Dark Passage. Everybody knows Dark Passage. Well, most of you. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, right? You know. Bogart escapes prison, right? Makes a break for it, right? And you know, he's on the highway, right? And he's making a break for it. Lauren Bacall, I'm giving you the Reader's Digest versions, right? But Lauren Bacall picks him up, right, and takes him to her place. He wants to know why. She tells him why. So he says, okay, right, everything's fine and dandy. So he gets a plastic face done, goes to a doctor and he changes his puss. Anyway, then he's trying to find out who killed his wife, because he's guilty of killing his wife, but he didn't do it, right? He didn't kill her, so he's trying to find out who killed her. So it's not bad. A little far-fetched here and there, you know what I mean? But it's a pretty good movie, but it's like, but far-fetched. You know what I mean? Most of you might know what I mean. Gets a 6. Nothing fantastic about this movie, so it gets a 6. I mean, you can watch it again if you want, if you like Humphrey Bogart, but yeah, 6 out of 10. All right, Bob, moving on. All right, I watched that movie, Dr. Sleep. Everybody knows Dr. Sleep, most is, from 2019, right? So it's the continued story of Danny Torrance, from 40 years after the fact that he was up in that creepy friggin' motel, or hotel, I should say. Motels are smaller than hotels, I think. Anyway, 40 years after The Shining, right? So yeah, so he's still seeing things with his head and his brain, still talking to people that are not there, or to him they're there. Anyway, there's a young girl in it too, right? And she's pretty well the same as him. And there's other people, these strange fuckers, right? And they go around killing people, especially kids. They kill little kids and stuff like that, right? And then as they're dying, they bend over them and they take their souls, like there seems to be like some kind of a cloudy stuff or smoke, if you want to put it that way, coming out of their mouth, and they're all leaning over and breathing it in, sucking it in, right? So yeah, so they meet each other. There's a girl that's in with the people that are killing everyone, and she seems to be the main one, or the one that's in charge. She comes across this little girl that has powers like her. And so there you go, there's the beginning of the story. Pretty good story. Interesting. I liked it. I gave it a 7. It's a 7 just because it's a good movie. Nothing outstanding or anything, so it gets a 7. Right? Yeah. So, let's see, what else did I watch? Oh, I watched this. Night and Day, Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz. She's a pretty nice looking girl, Cameron Diaz. A little on the thin side, but other than that, she should have a couple of pork chops or a steak now and again. But, yeah, Cruise claims to be a secret agent, you know what I mean? Yeah, he tells her, I am a secret agent. But all the things that are happening, what he says is not really true, is it? She seems to think, I don't know, I'm a little confused there. But he gets to run around tops of buildings and jumping from one building to another and shoots people and kills people on an airplane, and it's a fun movie. Tom Cruise, right? So yeah, I gave it a 7. Yeah, pretty good movie. Night and Day, it's all right. All right, what else? Oh, I watched this movie. This movie gave me, I don't even remember if I ever saw this movie before. I might have, but so long ago. I don't remember everything. I'm old. I watched this one, John Ford's Final Western. Now, do you know what John Ford's Final Western is? As far as I know, that's what they'd say here. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know everything, Just because I'm good looking don't mean shit. Anyway, John Ford's Final Western, Cheyenne Autumn. Yeah, I honestly say there's a few parts in this movie got me a little teary-eyed. Got a little tear. Yeah, just a little sobbing a little bit. Not full out blown up, but a little wet-eyed, teary-eyed. Yeah, it's the account of the defined 1887 migration of 300 Cheyenne Indians from the reservation in Oklahoma Territory to their original home in Wyoming, right? Yeah, 1,500, I think that's 1,500 miles. They went left to go, and it was 1,500 miles walking. A couple of horses, but most of them, percentage-wise, from what, looking at the movie, right, they're walking to go back home, right? So yeah, man, what a story. This is based on it's a true story, for what it's worth, right? So yeah, Richard Widmark, Carol Baker, Carl Malden, and Sal Mineo. Even though Sal Mineo doesn't say too much in it, he's probably an Indian, of course, right? So, he doesn't say anything in the movie, but you see him, he's in it. So yeah, so that's a 3-hour movie, and it has an intermission. Yeah. But that's very well done. I gave it an 8. I watched it on TCM here. TCM, like here in Toronto. So yeah, that's a very well done movie. There's a whole bunch of other people in it too, right? Actors and stuff, right? But yeah, it's pretty good. 3 hours. I didn't watch it in one set, and I had to watch it over 2 days. It started at 8 o'clock, and by the 10 o'clock rolls around, it's like I'm getting kind of tired. So it took me 2 days to watch it. But it's a well done movie. 8 out of 10. I don't own it. I don't have it in my possession as in, so yeah. I don't know where you can buy it at. Who knows? I've come across some movies that, I want to buy that, and go on Amazon, look for things. Either it's not on there, or I can't find it, or it costs too much goddamn friggin' money. You know what I mean? Money? It costs lots of money, some of these movies. So, anyway, that's the movies I watched this week and last week. And like I said, so there you go. I'll probably be back in my regular time slot next week, next Friday, of course. So there you go. Have a lovely weekend, people. Everybody that's having a holiday on Monday, enjoy yourself. All the people that are going camping, I hope you have a lovely weekend. And the people that are going, kids that are going back to school, stay safe. And the ones that are not going back to school, stay safe. And all the moms and dads, stay safe. All right? All right. Have a lovely weekend. Talk to everybody later. Lovely.